This video will cover the application process for the Fisheries Local Action Development Scheme, hosted on the BIM Grants portal. At the moment here, I am logged into the BIM Grants portal. If you need to go through how to register as an applicant or how to log in, please watch the other videos which cover this. So from the home page of the BIM Grants portal, you can see I have an option here that says one grant available. Okay. Um, when at the time of this video, the only grant that is available at the moment is for the Western region. But at the time when you will apply, you will see a list here of different flag regions. Okay, so just for this is you can see it's a test environment, so we just have the flag west at the moment. Okay, so what you will do is that also you can see down the bottom here in my applications, you can see that I have applied for a few different grants that I've started that are in the drafting at the moment. Okay, you can see the call name is listed here, and each one of those call names shows Flag West, and then the project title is listed here, and I'll go through how to do the project title as well. This is my reference number, so you'll see that each reference number here, the application ID, is individual. So this is also almost like a ticket number. Okay, so this is the unique number for your application. So you'll see here I've started about 6 applications here. And the reason being is that I just want to go through the different options for each different application type within this within this scheme. Okay, so to start an application, I will click on here on the available, and what you will do here is you'll be presented with your flag area. Okay, so to, select the scheme based on the flag area that you are from. If you need to check the flag area you're with, go to the flag website. There's a tool on there that allows you to put in your air code or the air code of your project. Um, and that will tell you whether you're in flag north or flag west or flag northwest. Okay, so for here at the moment, I'm going to select on flag west. I'm going to hit the apply button. And you'll see here, the first thing I'm doing is I'm brought into a pre-application check, section. Okay, and this section here is just a quick check to make sure that before you begin your application, that you've read all this eligibility criteria. Okay, so the scheme is only relevant if you can answer yes to all of the questions below. Okay, so there's A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so the first section here is that the applicant is one of the following types. You're either an individual. If you're an individual, that just means you're just basically applying on your own, not through an organization, um, not as a project for your company, just as a project for yourself. And that is basically just for training only. Okay, so if you want to go on a training course, you can apply for this type. And just to say, we'll go through the training now in a minute, but the training course must be something that is relevant to the blue economy. Um, Next part here is that you must be from, you could be a small scale coastal fisher, a fishing vessel owner, okay? And yes, so that's okay. So if I'm an owner of a small scale coastal fishing vessel, I will apply as this type now. There's different options for each one. I can also apply as a blue economy enterprise. So that's a micro or a small, a small or a micro organization. Okay, so no medium. It's just for small or micro down. I could be a charity. I could be a fisheries cooperative or a collective, or it could be a community group. So any one of these applications types can apply. And then also the applicant is applying for funding to aid a project or training related to the blue economy sector, or is a community initiative um, in a coastal or in a coastal area. Okay, so you must be applying for a project or for training that's relevant to the blue economy, um, or is a community or a project that is a community initiative within a coastal area, which is within a flag region. Okay. Next is the project is being funded and will be located within 10 kilometers of the coast. So this is how flag regions work. And as again, I said, if you need to check which flag region you're in, or if you are indeed located in a flag region, please go to the website accompanying this scheme, and there'll be a tool available there that allows you to check by the air code or address of your project. Now, so if you're not located within 10 kilometers of the coast, your project must be located, okay? So, but if you're an individual applying for training, you could be living or working within 10 kilometers of the coast. So if I'm just looking for a training course, I could either be living in a coastal area or I could be working within a coastal area. So projects that are located outside of the 10-kilometer operational area of the flag must demonstrate that their project will have a direct benefit to the flag area as defined in the flag region's LDS. LDS is Local Development Strategy. Okay, so again, there is scope to apply if you're outside of a flag of one of the flag regions, but you must show that your project that you're applying for funding for will be of benefit to that particular flag region. Okay, and there's scope to do that within the application form. So part D then is the project being funded must achieve at least one of the following actions. So these are all linked to the local development strategy. Okay, so actions to diversify the income of fishers and coastal community economy, actions to identify innovations that can lead to a transaction towards smarter growth in the coastal areas, actions to develop and promote niche tourism, actions to build capacity, develop greater cooperation between all relevant stakeholders in coastal communities, actions to ensure that Ireland's coastal resource is managed to sustain its physical character and environmental quality, or actions to protect and promote the sense of place and culture and the quality, character, and distinctiveness of the Irish coastal communities. Okay, so you must basically show within your application form that your project will achieve one of these, one or more. The project being funded clearly aligns with the flag regions, the Fisheries Local Action Group region, local development strategy. Okay, so you have to align with the local development strategy as well. The project can complete with a claim submitted by the 31st of October 2025. Now, this is very important. Okay, so this is a competitive call, which all projects must be finished within this physical year. Okay, so all projects have to be completed with a claim submitted by the very latest of the 31st of October 2025. Okay, so this call for this scheme is for smaller projects as such which can be achieved and completed before the 31st of October 2025. If you cannot answer any of these questions, but you feel that you should be able to apply for funding for this scheme, you can always contact the Grants Help Desk at grantshelpdesk@bim.ie. Okay, so that's everything there. You can read through that again yourselves. This here is important information before you begin. So again, this is just making sure. So when you, before you begin, just make sure that you have to hit something in A, something in B, something in C, something in D, E, F, before you can begin. Okay, so you have to basically hit yes to all of these things. Second part of important information here is before you begin, it's important to confirm that you understand how the scheme operates. Below is a series of declarations which you will be asked to accept as part of the application form, but which are repeated here so that you know what to expect should you decide to proceed. Okay, so I will read through these because they're important for the scheme. So this round of flag funding is completely is a competitive application process with limited budgets. There is a possibility that if the scheme is oversubscribed, the application may be deemed eligible, but if there is, but there will be insufficient funds available to support the project, and no offer of grant aid will be made. So here, the first part is just saying that there will be a limited budget per flag region, so please bear that in mind. So even if you hit everything here, there may not be a sufficient budget to complete your project. Um, any funds spent or committed after the acknowledgement of the application is sent will be considered for payment should an offer of grant aid be made and accepted and a claim form submitted. However, any funds spent or committed after the acknowledgement and prior to receiving a letter of offer are incurred are entirely at the applicant's risk, given the affirmed risk of the applicant not receiving an offer of grant aid. So basically what it's saying here is that once you submit your application, you are eligible to spend. So if you submit an application for grant aid for anything that you have bought prior to this, it is not it's not eligible. So basically any costs that are incurred after the date of your submission will be eligible for funding. Okay, so anything before that is not eligible for grant aid. But what it's saying here is that just be wary because it is a limited amount of funding that's going to go out. And so anything that you do spend is at your own risk before you receive your letter of offer. Okay. And so just to be wary of that. Given that this round of flag funding is a competitive process, there is no right to appeal the decisions regarding eligibility or evaluation. Applications will be assessed based on the information provided in their application, which must be full and complete when submitted. If any issues are found during eligibility checking, the application may be returned to the applicant once and must be resubmitted within 2 business days. If the application is not resubmitted within 2 business days, or if what is supplied does not rectify the issue, the application will be closed. Okay, so this is very important really here to say as well, is that because this is a competitive call, with limited funding, it has to, and everything has to be finished by this date here as well, 31st of October 2025. Basically, what they're saying here is that if there's any mistakes or any discrepancies in your application form, the form will be returned to you once. You will then have 2 business days, 2 working days basically to return your application form. If the application form is not returned within those 2 working days, your application for grant aid will automatically be closed and you will have no right to appeal. If your application is received within the 2 working days, but the information you've provided is not sufficient, your application will be closed as well. Okay, so just to try your best to get the best application form you can get in submitted to avoid this from happening, because if it does happen, if it does get returned to you, you have very limited time to get this application back to BIM for processing. It was only two business days. Okay, so just try your best to get the application as best as it can be before submitting to avoid this from happening. Should the applicant receive receive an offer of grant aid, a bank account in the applicant's name must be registered on the BIM grants management system, and any grant payments will be made to this bank account. So we'll go through this in this video here as well. Basically, upfront, you must register a bank account with this application form, and what will happen is that this bank account will be stored with your application form, and you can whatever you declare here is the bank that you would like to be paid into, such should you be offered a grant aid. Should the applicant receive an offer of grant aid, they will need to have tax clearance before any payment can be made as well, so you must be tax compliant. I think I might have skipped this one. The primary communication method used in the administration of this scheme will be email. Acknowledge of receipt of the application, the possible return of the application, any eventual letter of offer or rejection, reminders regarding deadlines will all be issued by email to the email address provided by the applicant. Should an agent have been appointed by the applicant, both the agent and the applicant will receive all the emails. It's the responsibility of the applicant to ensure that BIM is on their safe list of contacts, and that they regularly check their email for any updates or deadlines required. Okay, so it's just basically saying whatever email address you use to log into the system is the email address that BIM will use to contact you. So basically just keep an eye on your email, because if anything does come back, you will only have 2 business days in which to respond. Okay, so that's everything gone through there. Just make sure that you read all of that and understand before you start. So depending on the selection that you make from the application type here, so if I select, it asks me to select what application type I am. So again, I could be individual, looking for training, small scale coastal fisher, blue economy enterprise, and it must be a micro or small, charity, fisheries cooperative or a collective, or a community group. So go down here and make your selection. So my selection here, let's say if I'm an individual, I could be an individual looking for training only. I will be presented with this table here, and I'll be presented with terms and conditions. Okay, so the terms and conditions here, you should read the terms and conditions there. That's everything for the terms and conditions for an applicant looking for training for this scheme. There's also a statement of principles, which is the same throughout. And the terms and conditions then for every other application here, Blue Economy, will be the same. Okay, so it's just basically we would say please read the terms and conditions before applying, and also familiarize yourself with the statement of principles for grantees. So depending again on my selection of what type of applicant I am, if I'm training an individual looking for training, I can click here and I'll see a list of eligible and ineligible expenditure items. And it again, some of the regions may have differences in what they fund. So please read that document before you begin. And also here is a list of the documentation you will require, depending on your application type, of what documents you will require to complete this application. So that's good to have to note before you begin. So here, it shows you the different grant rates that you can get here as well. Okay, so let's say my grant rate on this would be for the north. So for all regions, I actually have a 50% grant rate, which is the same throughout. And then I have an expenditure cap on how much I can actually spend. So you will see Northeast has a higher rate than the North. So depending on which area you are coming from, your cap here will be different. Okay, so just have a look at that as well. And then it just asks me here, have I read my terms and conditions before I start? So I must tick that box to say that I have read the terms and conditions and the statement of principles for grantees, and then I can click below here to begin. So there's a button here that says continue to application. Now, also, let's just say before I do begin, if I was to select as a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner, I would get a different set of grant rates here, so 80% throughout. But you can see there that the caps are different per region. You'll also see my documentation required is different here, and that's based on the small scale coastal fishing vessel owner. Okay, one point to note though as well, for if you are a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner, there's parts written in red here to take note of. So only projects relating to the vessel, product or catch, which are not funded under any other EMFAF or BIM grant scheme, will be funded under this scheme. Okay. Next point to note is that if the project is in support of operation of a fishing vessel, so if you are a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner and you are looking for a grant aid to do a project based on your fishing vessel, that vessel must be actively fishing, validated by the Sea Fisheries Protection Authority, the SFPA. If an SSCF vessel does not meet the applicant eligibility criteria, or is doing a project other than the types listed, they may still apply, but they must apply under the Blue Economy Enterprise type. Basically, your fishing activity will be checked with the SFPA, and if your fishing vessel is not listed on the active fishing register for the SFPA, your application will be sent back to you, but you will only have 2 working days on which to get this rectified. So we would advise that you check with the SFPA first before submitting, to be sure that you're registered in order to qualify for this 80% grant rate. Again, anybody who is a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner is allowed to apply, but you would apply under this rate here, which is the Blue Economy Enterprise scheme if you don't fall into this criteria here listed below. Okay, so if I'm a Blue Economy Enterprise, again, there's eligible and ineligible expenditure. It gives me a list of documentation I will need, and there's a 50% grant rate on that. And you will see that different regions have different expenditure caps. Fishing cooperative or collective, again, 60% throughout, but different caps for a different region. Now, this here, community groups are split into public good projects or private income generating projects, and the same for a charity. So a community group that is doing a public good project will qualify for an 80% grant rate. Okay, and also a charity which is doing the same will qualify for an 80% grant rate as well. And again, you have different expenditure caps. But if you're doing a private income generating project for your own company, as the charity, it's a 50% rate for those. You can still apply, but again, just to say that it's a 50% rate on those application types. Okay, so once you are satisfied with what type of applicant you are, you must make your selection from the list here. Now, I'll select individual to start, and again, that's training only. Now, just to show that when you hit the continue to application here, this will open up an application form for you. And the application form, because the questions actually change depending on the application type you select here, the application form will be locked here. Okay, so once you hit this button, just be sure that you have selected the right type, or else you will have to go out and start a new application form. That's easy enough done, and I'll show you how to do that now. So let's say I select as an individual, I hit continue. Okay, you'll see now my application form starts. So just to show within the page here, it shows that I'm in the draft. And now you can see that I've been given a reference number for my application, and it gives me instructions now on how to complete my application form, telling me that I can contact the grant help desk at bim.ie if I have any issues. So to navigate throughout this page, just keep scrolling down, okay? And you'll see here that where I was called the pre-application checklist. That has now jumped over to the side because that's finished, and my terms and conditions are all there. And just as my selection now is locked, that I had selected individual. Okay. Now within my application form, to get back to my application form, I have a tab here. So I have tabs going across. I have application form, and I can scroll down, and my application form will continue. There's all my questions for my application form throughout, but I have to keep scrolling down through the page. And you'll see, rather than previous applications on the older system where it was page by page, all the application form is on the one page here, but it's also split out by section. Okay, and you can click sections on the right hand side here and select and skip through sections as you like. You've also got this bank details section now as well. So to go into the bank details, you have a tab here, and we'll run through how to add a bank account here later on in this application. And again, that's where I was in the pre-application check. So you get a warning here saying, look, you are applying as an individual. If this is the wrong application type, because what will happen here now is this form now is locked as an individual type looking for training. It's at the 50% rate, and all the questions here in this form now are based around course name, course start date. They're all based around the an applicant looking for training. So let's say I've done this by mistake. I realize actually I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go in as a blue economy. What I would need to do now is I go over to my home part over here. I click on home and I'm back out on my original screen where I started, and I'm just going to hit apply here for a new grant. Okay, so I'm going to click there again in the available grants. I'm going to select my region. So I'm going to go with Flag West. And this time I'm going to select Blue Economy because I made the wrong choice. So select Blue Economy, hit yes to the terms and conditions, and continue to my application. And you'll see now I'm brought into an application form here that tells me you are in the blue economy. And again, if I was in the wrong one, I would have to go out what I've just done, go into home, available grants, and start again. So just make sure that you're in the right form before you start, or else you'll end up filling in a load of information and realize that you have to start again. Okay, so also I would say to take note here of the call name at the top here as well. When you apply, you will be applying based on your region. But if you selected the wrong region, just take note of that as well. So call name here is on the is at the top to show, and also you will show you'll see here what type you're in as well. Okay, so I'm in as a Blue Economy Enterprise under Flag West region. Okay, um, so depending on what region I have selected or what application type I have selected, as I said, the questions here will differ. Okay, so these questions here on the rest of the section is mostly the same. So this question here would be based around if I am a Blue Economy Enterprise. So I'm going to go through the first section here as a Blue Economy Enterprise, and then I'll skip out and just show I have different application forms ready. So just to show you what I have ready here, I'm going to go back to my home page. And within my homepage, if I scroll down here under my drafts, you'll see here I have a load of different applications forms started. Okay, so each one there is listed. I've put in a project title, and throughout this video here for the first section, I'm just going to show you the difference between each ones at the start. Okay, so to start with first, so just to show anything that you have in draft started will be listed here. Okay, and let's say if you do go into one by mistake, and you know, let's say what we just did, I made a mistake there. If I want to withdraw, I will go in, let's say here, okay, and I can hit the withdraw button there to withdraw my application if I don't need it. That will then add that to the withdrawn section. So let's say this is my training application. If I didn't want to do the training, I'm just going to hit withdraw here, hit yes on that, and says your application successfully been withdrawn, and go to home, and you'll see there that's not listed here anymore. It shouldn't be here anymore. Okay, it's not in my list anymore. And what will happen, let's say, is that ahead of this scheme, before the last week before it goes live, we'll be sending out reminder emails to everybody who has anything in draft. So if you have started something accidentally in the wrong and you start the proper one, I would just go in and withdraw the other one, just so that you don't get a reminder email for an application that isn't that isn't relevant to you. So we'll start with the Blue Economy first. Actually, what we'll do first is I'm going to start with the individual application. So again, here I just need to make a new application as an individual to start, and I just want to show the difference between this one. So I'm going to hit I've read the terms and conditions, click continue. And again, I'm brought into this screen straight away. So I keep scrolling down to begin my application. Okay, so my application starts here. And you can see here now that I am in as a training applicant. And the questions here will be based around, so I'm going to do the first section here for every different application type. I'm going to run through the bank details. I'm going to then go through the expenditure form, and then I'll leave the rest of the form to everybody else to complete. Okay, because it's quite a big form. But once you know how to get into the form, how to select your different type, how to add your bank, and how to complete your expenditure details. That should be more than enough. And the questions are either tick boxes or text boxes as you go on. Okay, so for this one here, first off, the applicant details at the start. I'm asked to select my project operation type. Okay, so there's a list here, and for this one, it's for training. So I'm just going to see, do I have anything here? I have training to improve schools. So I'm going to select that because I'm looking for a training grant. My course name here. So what you put in the course name here, you will see will appear on the home page. So this is good for your reference and for ours. So I'm going to say a training course. 2, 3. Okay, I'm just putting this in just as a test. Okay, my course start date and my course end date. Now here it says here. So let's say my course is going to start on the first on let's say on the Monday the 4th of May. It's going to run for 1 week. And it's going to finish on the 9th of May. So I'm well within this here, which says here, this is to note, in the first call of this scheme, all projects must be completed with a claim submitted by the 31st of October 2025. So if my course was going to finish in, let's say, November, I wouldn't be able to apply for a grant under this scheme. Okay, so because everything has to be finished and your claim form submitted before this date in order to qualify. And here it has a note about the course end date. So note the course end date is considered to be the last day of your class of attendance or your last exam or your final submission for any final assignments, whichever is the latest. That's what you consider as your course date. So let's say my course finished on the 9th, but I actually had exams scheduled for Thursday the 29th. That's when my course actually finishes, is on my final exam date. Okay, so I'm filling in that. Here I'm asked for my address type. So I live within 10 kilometers of the coast, or I work within 10 kilometers of the coast. I can say I live within 10 kilometers of the coast. I'm asked here for duplicate funding. So have you checked that this project is not eligible for funding through any of the other state agency, a public body, local authority, or through any other scheme, regardless of whether it is open or not, sports capital grants, heritage, council funding, etc. So I'm going to say yes. And then it just asked me to give details of where I've checked for this funding. Okay, so you must give details that you have researched this grant, and you can say this is. So I would say this course is not funded on other public grant scheme. Okay, you'll have to go into a lot more detail than that, but I'm just going to list there as well. I have checked the seafood training scheme. And this course is not listed for funding. Okay, and you would also just have to give examples of any other body that you have checked there as well. Okay, so you can see as I start to scroll down, the sections here start to change. Okay, so I've basically for this section here now, I've kind of completed section 1. I'm going to keep going down, and it says your compatibility with your flag region area. So there's an important thing to note here is that within the first part here, you're just kind of giving a description of your course name and your date and everything. And when you get into here is where the evaluation kind of starts to happen. So you will be evaluated throughout, but it just says to note here that if you just give one line answers here, it's not very good. So what you have to do here is that it'll give you a list here. This is the flag scoring criteria. So this shows you how all applications will be brought before a flag board, a panel, and the panel then will score each application based on the answers that are provided within the application form. Okay, so, and again, this is a competitive call, so the highest scoring grants will be grants will be funded based on score, and then budget will be allocated. So for the highest going downwards. Okay, so basically, what's kind of saying here is that don't just give one-line answers to these questions. Fill out these questions as best you can. Okay, so here, describe your course content. For me, I'm just going to try put in. Okay, so just to show how the application is working, you have a text box here. Have a read of what's in the question and answer it. Okay, so I'm going to just start filling in the questions as I go along here. I'm asked here for the FLAG local development strategy. Okay, so within the FLAG local development strategy, you can see here that there are 6. So which FLAG strategic action does your project address? So there's 6 main actions here. Okay, so for each action that I select, I can select as many as I want, and for each action I select, I'm given a description about that action, and I'm asked, can you describe how your project that you are hoping to complete will address this action? And again, if I select action number 2 there, a text box will appear. So just pick the actions that are relevant to you and fill in the text boxes provided with your answers. Again, benefit to the blue economy. I'm not going to read all the questions, just to say these are text box questions. Fill them in as best you can. Okay, so now I'm on to the next section, robustness of proposed project for the applicant capacity. And again, there's a link here showing you throughout. It's the same scoring criteria throughout, okay? So it's not going to be a different scoring criteria. It is a different scoring criteria per section, sorry, but it's the same document, sorry, that you're linked to throughout. So once you save that once, you can have a read of the document and you'll see how the application will be scored. So for this one here, I'm just going to keep filling in here all the text boxes. And it's just, again, giving you a warning that you must be completed by the 31st of October there. And again, all of these are text box questions here, so I'm just filling them in. And now I'm at the section here, which is value for money. This is my expenditure section. Okay, so within this expenditure section here, this is different per type. So I'm in as an individual here, which is 50%, but the process here is the same. Okay, so it tells me here how many quotes I need. Now, because this grant rate here is at 50%, for any item that is costing less than €5,000, I must provide 1 quote. For all items costing €5,000 or higher, I must provide 3 quotes. Okay. It also tells you here about the eligible and ineligible expenditure items that are available. And then we looked at that at the start. Okay, and so I'll cover this again as a different application type to show you the difference. But my expenditure table here, in order to start my expenditure table, I must click this button here to begin. And also there's a part here about the quotes, and there's more information about the quotes is available here. And all quotes must follow the BIM quotes guidelines. So there's a link to the BIM quotes guidelines document. So I would read that ahead of your quotes that you are supplying. So within this section here, it can be a bit tricky to see. So within the section is the value for money. It's the same for all grants. What you're really asked for here is that you're going to be asked to fill in an expenditure table. You must put in 1 line of expenditure per item that you are applying for a grant for. You'll then ask me to upload your quotes. So you just have a look, follow the BIM quote guidelines, and then see, based on the expenditure, how many quotes you need to provide. So for this type, because it's 50%, I just need to provide 1 quote for anything that's less than €5,000. Anything higher than €5,000, I must provide 3 quotes. And again, I'm going to open up a Blue Economy application now in 2 minutes just to show you the difference. I must then fill in my expenditure table here. And this last part here is where this part here, I must upload my quotes. So I use the file upload button to do that. And just to say, if I can't get the proper amount of quotes provided that I'm required, I can fill in a table here to give reasons why I couldn't show that. Okay, so if so within this next section, I'm going to complete this full section here as well, okay? The expenditure table. So I'm going to, I might just, yeah, I'll start with the expenditure table section, and then I'll show you as well the expenditure table section under the blue economy, okay? So let's begin here. So first off, I must show my quotes. So I have quotes saved here on the system. To begin the um, expenditure section, the value for money. First off, I'll show you the three quotes that I have. I'll then fill in my expenditure table, and then if we can just fill in this table here just in case there was any items that we didn't have anything for. So I have some example quotes here. These quotes are not uh, probably not relevant to this scheme here, but just to show uh, this is an example of a quote. Okay, so it has a quote date. Okay, and again, the quotes must be dated within 6 months of the um, of your application that you're submitting. Okay, um, they must be made out to the company that you are applying from, or made out to you. If you're applying as an individual, they'll be made out to you directly, or if you're applying as a company, they'll be made out to your company. With single line per item that you're applying for, and so you can see here this is showing smoke detectors at a unit cost of €11. There's three of them, and the total amount is there. They also must show the VAT separated. Okay, so all of our expenditure that we will apply for will be ex VAT. Okay, so that's an example of one. Let's say here's another one here, pretty similar. Okay, so there's Murphy's. Again, there's smoke detectors. You'll see that they're split out. I can see the unit cost. I can see the rate, or how many I'm hoping to buy, and the VAT is split out there as well. And you can see it's always made out to the company, and you can see the date is clearly labeled here as well. Okay, this last one, pretty much the same. Okay, so you can see this one here is made out in sterling. Okay, so if your application that you're applying for, if the grant rate, if your quote is in sterling, you must convert that before entering. So we'll do one with a conversion, and then we'll show how to upload all the quotes as well. Okay, so let's just show here. First off, I'm going to skip the expenditure table section and just click here, browse. I'm going to browse within my file system here, and I'll select these two and hit open, and that will add them there. I can also just open up the file here, and I can drag that across, and that will add it for me as well. And you'll see as they're added, they're all listed there. Okay, so that's my three quotes added. Next, I'm going to fill out my expenditure table. Okay, so within here, this is the flag training section, but all will be the same. So I click the plus button to begin, and I select here. So here within my drop down, because this is the training section, I'm just being asked for the course. So the item cost of my course here is let's say it's €100. I'm only going to do one course, okay? So my description here will be training course. And I'm going to go with my preferred quote would be, let's say I'm going for UCD, let's say for instance, and then I'm also going to upload upload quotes from two other organizations. So let's say I upload from DCU and Trinity. Okay. So then my cost of my course is €100, and you'll just see if I scroll across a little bit more, you can see it's automatically um, put for my worked out my grant rate for me, which is 50%. Okay, so I'm just going to hit save there, and then once I've added in everything there, I can keep adding if I like. For this one, because it's a training, I only have one line. So if I just click the X on that to close that, and we'll do this for the blue economy as well. I'll hit save. I'll close out of here, And you can see down below here that I have my expenditure table completed. My course fee is there. One of them, my description is training course, my preferred quote that I'm using. So I'm going with the quote from UCD, which is costing €100, but I've also supplied two different other quotes from two different colleges, and that's my grant that I'm applying for. So we would list everything here. If I had not, if I had an item, let's say, that was above €5,000 and I could only supply two quotes out of the three, I can click here and I can give a reason to say, um, I'll just say my course. So we would basically look at what's the subtype in here. So subtype will say was called course fee. My description is training course one. And the reason that I could only give two quotes was that this course is only offered in two colleges in, in Ireland. Now, I know the majority of the applications here will not be for training, so I just picked training just to start. Uh, so but then I can continue on now for 1 sec. So what I will show now after this is how the blue economy applications will work as well. Okay, so that's the expenditure table completed if I was a training applicant. Okay, so I will come back to a blue economy application now in 2 minutes. So just while I'm at this here, I'm just going to continue on down because this form is actually it's a lot smaller when I'm doing it as a training applicant. Okay, so once I've completed the expenditure table, I can keep scrolling down, and now I get into this part here, which is called finance plan for your project. So it asks me to complete the table here. And what it's asking me here is just basically it says, you're going to get a grant of so much from BIM. Can you just outline how you expect to fund the rest of your project? So let's say you'll see that this is blank here until I actually click into the first box. Okay, so if I click into the first box here, and it just asks me, how are you going to fund the rest of your project? So you see here the potential BIM grant is blank for the moment. So I'm just going to say I have my own funds of €50, and I tick anywhere else in the box, and you'll see there that the rest it's populated. It just takes a minute to populate. You have to type into the first box for it to populate. So let's say I'm contributing €10 myself. I have a loan then of, let's say, €40, and that gets me up to 100%, and I don't need to give anything else. But let's say I also did have other financial contributions, so €20. This will bring me to 120% funding, which is fine. Um, it doesn't matter if I go over 100%. The point is that I must reach the 100% to show, look, I'm able to fund this project using the grant from BIM, and then I'm contributing from a bank loan or anything else as well. Okay. Once I'm ready there, I can just hit the save button, click the X, and you'll see there that my table here has populated down the bottom here as well. You're also asked here to kind of make a description of how this match, where this match funding is coming from, and upload evidence to show. So let's say if I was getting a bank loan, I would write, description of what this bank loan is for, and have a loan agreement or a letter from the bank showing that this loan is in place. Okay, so I'm going to just, for the purposes of this form, I'm just going to attach something in there, and just to say this is a test form. Now, don't worry, I'm going to return to the expenditure section now in 2 minutes. I've just almost finished this form here. So scrolling down, you'll see there I'm in my declaration section. So again, I'm not going to read through all the declarations here, but please do read through. This is all the declarations are very important about this scheme. So for the purposes of getting through the training, once you have read all declarations, you must read and agree with every declaration here within the scheme in order to qualify for funding. Okay. So I'm going to just tick through each one. Please don't do this. But this is just to get through. Okay, so and then this last part here is for additional documentation. If at any stage BIM may require documentation that's not already asked within this form, they'll send the form back to you and ask you to complete this question here and upload documents to go with the form. So I'm going to almost finish my form. I'm going to hit the save button here. And if I try to submit my form, it should tell me, yeah, so it tells me that I can't submit because I have to supply a bank account to go with my form as well. Okay, so I'm not going to get into that section just yet. I just want to go back to show if I was applying as a different type, what I was a different type, what my expenditure table would look like. So here again, we'll return to the individual application form to show the bank details. So for now, I'm just going to go home. And let's say I'll pick that other form that was to do with my blue economy. So if you can see here, there's my project title. So it's good to know I gave project titles so that I could show myself the different types of. I was made it very easy for me to identify. So you are allowed to apply for different. Let's say I could apply as myself doing a training, and I could also apply as my company doing something else as well. So let's say if I had two different applications, I could list them here, and once I have it in the project title, I should be able to identify which one is which. Or if I was doing, let's say if I was a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner and I was applying for an application to do with my fishing vessel, I could do that. And then I could also do a separate blue economy application for a different project as well. So it's good to show within the project title yourself that you can identify them here. So clicking on this application here, I'm in now, and it should tell me there that I'm in as a Blue Economy Enterprise. So here, I'm just going to put down in my project title, Blue Economy Enterprise Test Project. Now, within here, you'll see that the questions are an awful lot more. Okay, so as a Blue Economy Enterprise, I have to answer an awful lot more questions than I would have had to do as the training applicant. Okay, so depending on some of the answers I will give here, let's say if anything I'm doing here has to do with fishing vessel operations, if I was to click yes there, I'm asked there to give details of my fishing vessel. And one good point to know, so I'm just going to hit save here. So I can save this at any time. I can hit home and I can come out of my application and I can go back into it. And whatever I've done here will be shown in my list of draft applications. Okay, so let's just say one point to note is that if I'm in as a small scale coastal fisher, for instance, and I go into my application form here, you'll see there that the first question I'm asked is, so it looks like there's a lot less questions here, but there's not. So the first one is, do you have a beneficial interest in any non-small scale coastal fishing vessel or enterprises? So if I was to say yes here, I get this big warning here that says, please stop. And you cannot, if you are applying as a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner, but you own other vessels that are not small scale coastal fishing, you will not qualify for this grant rate. But it says you are fully entitled to apply as a Blue Economy Enterprise. So if this does happen, do what we did at start, go into the home option here, go to apply and just start again. Okay, because your rate there on that form is fixed as small scale coastal fishing, so you can't actually change. You have to withdraw this application here and start again. So if I was in as a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner, and let's say I clicked no to that, I don't have any other non-small scale coastal fishing vessels, then I'm brought into um, giving my fishing license, my CFR, all the other details throughout based on. So if I own the vessel in joint ownership, I must click yes or click no here to say I'm not only sole owner, and then I must get permission from any of the other fishing vessel owners to make this application. So they must fill in this form and sign it to give me permission to submit this application on their behalf. So you can see the questions change depending on the application type that you have selected. Okay, and once you get into other application types, more business-like application types, you can see the questions actually start to get an awful lot more. So it is quite a big form. So please do give it a good time to complete. Here's an example of a table here, historic and projected finance. Anytime a table is asked, you'll see this complete table button, okay? And it opens up the table within a different window for you. This table here, it's just showing, so let's say my current years, this is 2025, the year I'm in. And this one here, current year -1, -2. So this is basically just give me the figures from last year, give me the figures from 2 years ago, give me your projected figures for next year, the next 2 years, and the next 3 years. Okay, so that's what once you start this table here, you must complete it to the end, or else you won't be able to go on. Okay, so and anyway, this table needs to be completed as part of this application. So let's say if I was to hit save on this here, um, hit save, it tells me there that I have to fill in every section of this table here, or else or else it won't save. Okay, so it must complete that table in full. Okay, so I'm in as a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner. You'll see the questions are very similar. There's upload document questions, there's text questions, there are table questions scattered throughout. Okay, so I'm just going to continue on. I just want to get to the expenditure table section for this application to show. So you'll see here, this is a lot different to the individual. It shows you this section here. It shows you for the same for if you're blue economy, small scale coastal fisher, throughout. Okay, so these are the different grant rates that you may have, and also if your grant rate is up to 5,000 euro, then it will be one quote required, or anything greater than 50,000 euro, you will require two quotes. So if your expenditure item is between 5,000 euro and 49,000 euro, you will require three quotes. And if your grant rate, let's say, is 80%, if you're a small scale coastal fisher, you will require three quotes for anything up to costing up to 49,000 euro, or from between 5 and 49. Anything that's going to cost you over 50,000 euro, if you're, let's say, up to 50%, if you're a blue economy, you will need three quotes. But if you're, let's say, going for the higher rate of 80%, if you're maybe a charity or a public group or a small scale coastal fishing vessel owner, it says here a government e-tender is required. Now, this is incorrect as of this time. What you will need is a signed document from an external accountant, and that will be the link to that will be provided on the form when the form goes live. So this part here is not valid at the moment. You will need a separate document completed, and that you will be linked off to that for anything costing over 50,000 euro, just if you're in the higher grant rate, which is 80%. And then that will be provided when the scheme goes live. So you'll see here that the expenditure table has a lot more headings for this type. So when I click in here, I'm going to click on Add Expenditure Items. And you'll see here I have a lot more options in this section than I did when I was in as an individual. So within here, if I go to marine industry, if I click the plus button to begin, I'll see I have capital investments for infrastructure, capital investments for equipment, or non-capital investments. I'll select from this option here. So I could either be under the section of marine industry, marine leisure or sport, niche tourism, or seafood. So depending on now the grant rate here, no matter what, is going to stick with, and I think I'm in as a small scale coastal fisher. So let's say if I click here, non-capital investment, I'll have a look at my quote here. Okay, so my quote here was for, let's say I'm going to go with preferred quote for Halligan's for the first part. So I'm going to get fire and smoke detector. Now I know these items are actually to do with a different grant that we have here, which is called the fleet safety grant. But I'm just going to use this as an example. Okay, so let's say my item cost as per my quote here. My item cost is €11 and I'm getting a quantity of 3. So let's put in here 11. Number of items here is 3. Okay, and my description then is, as per my quote, is fire and smoke detector. Okay, so I'll just type that in. Okay, my preferred quote here is Halligan's. And then the additional quotes that I am using are called Halligan's, and then they're called Murphy's and NI Safety. Okay, so I'm going to write in here Murphy's. Okay, so basically you're just listing, this is the quote that I'm using. So all the details that I'm given here are per this quote, but here's the name of the other two quotes that I supplied. Now, it might seem a bit silly for this one if I'm only doing, but if you're having a big long list of things, it makes it a lot easier on the grant admin side, that they can see here, these are the quotes that you've provided, and when they are looking through all the quotes that you've provided, they know which is for which. Now, on this here, you can see that it's the total cost now has become €33, so it's 3 times 11, and then it's given me this as a potential grant, which is 80% of 33. So let's say under something for marine and leisure, if I was doing something under there and I was doing capital investment item, let's say I'm going to use the NI safety quote for this one, and this is in sterling. Okay, so here, let's say I'm getting life jackets. I know the categories don't fit here, and the life jackets cost me £50. So I'm going to put in here my description was life jackets. My preferred quote here was NI suppliers. And I also got Halligan's and Murphy's here as well. Okay. Now I can't, even though my item costs £50, I can't just put in £50. Okay, because what I have here on my quote, where's my quote here? NI safety quote is £50, and I'm getting 10 of those. Let's just put this in anyway. 10. That would give me 500, but it gives me €500, not £500. So what I need to do is I need to convert that. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to save this. Okay, so always save don't just click this closed, right? If I close that, I'll lose everything. So save it first and then close. Now this is wrong because this should be in pounds, not euros. Okay, so I need to convert this to euros first before I can go. Now, to do that, we have a link here to of where you should do any conversion. And where is that stored here? So it says here, use the European Bank. Okay, that has a converter for me. So if I click here, it's going to bring me into the currency converter. So I'm converting from sterling to, not to dollars, I'm going to convert to euro. Okay, and I'm converting £50 into sterling. Okay, so that's fine. So £50 into sterling will give me €58.40. Okay, so but that's €58.40 as of the exchange rate, which is dated today, the 16th of April 2025. But I have to do it on the date that my quote was from. Okay, so the date of my quote here is for the 1st of the 2nd, 2023. So I need to change that. Now, you wouldn't normally have a quote that goes back this far. This is just for our example. Your quote can only be within the last 6 months. So here, let's go. So it's on the 1st of February 2023. And you'll see that gives me this number, €56.55, which is different. Okay, so just always go by the date that's on your quote when you're converting. Okay, so there's my date of my quote. And use this currency converter because this is the currency converter that will be used by BIM when they're checking. Okay, so I need to go in here then and I need to edit this. So you'll see here, this is just a printout of my table. I can't do anything with it. So I need to go in here to add expenditure item again. even though I'm not adding, I'm editing, it's the same thing. So I'm going in here, and instead of costing 50 pence, it's actually costing me 56 euro 55. And again, so that now updates. Okay, so that's my table completed now. And um, so the rest of the form then will be pretty much the same. I upload my quotes, I fill in my too few quotes table here. I can fill in my finance plan again here, which is the same. You'll see it's blank until I start putting things in. So let's say I'm going to contribute 200 euro of my own funds, and you'll see it starts to populate then. And I've already reached 113%. So once I'm over 100% here, this is fine. The trick is that you have to get up to 100% or higher on that table. So So that's it really for this here. The rest of the form it's text box questions, file upload questions. The trickiest part here is probably completing this table. The last part of our application, we will go through the bank details, and to do that, I will return. Oh, hang on, sorry. Before I leave, before you ever exit any form, just hit save, just to save your progress, okay? So I go through how to do the bank details, and to do that, I will use our training form. Okay, so we're back in our home page here for the final part of the demonstration here, and that's to go through how to add your bank details to your application form. So this will be the same for all application forms. So for this one here, I'm in my home page. I'm going to go down to the application form that I had started previously, which is the training course. And so if I was to click here on my training course application, when I went down and I clicked on um, submit, I was told that I couldn't submit because I had to have one submitted or validated bank account connected to my application form before I could do so. So that's shown within here. When I scroll down, you'll see this tab here is for my application form. This tab here was for my pre-application check that I had done before I started. And this section within here is to do with a bank account. Now, the way this is going to work is that you must create a bank account using this function here. If you have any bank accounts created already, they will be listed in your lookup here. So I think if I click there, I don't have any at the moment. Okay, so what the idea would be that you create this once, and then the next time you apply, you just use your lookup, and it'll be there. Okay, so you can use this almost like you do in Amazon, where you can just pick your card that you want to use. This is pick your bank account that you wish to use for your grant application. So to start, I go to create a new bank account here. And this one here, my organization is popping up for me. It's Joe Blogs Fishing. My owner is Joe Blogs. This is in draft at the moment. So I need to fill in the bank name. I need to fill in my account name. I need to fill in my IBAN and my BIC. Okay, and I also need to upload a copy of a bank statement, which is dated within the last 6 months. So that's here as well. Okay, so we'll go through all of this part here. So the bank name to start off with. So I have a bank statement here, and just to say this is an example bank statement here. Now, for this example, you'll see it's just a very basic bank account. So you see there's my bank account name. There's the address of my account, and there's my IBAN and my BIC. Okay. Now, we don't care about all of these parts here. We just would be looking for this part up. Okay, so we don't really care about your financial detail or any of your transactions or anything here. So what you could do is you could blank out this part here if you wanted, or you could even just cut this part off here, and that's the only section that we actually need. Okay, so we need the statement date, that it must be within the last 6 months. We need the account number, we need the BIC, and we need the name and the bank. Okay, this part here showing all those details, and then the rest of this you could just black it out because we don't need to see your transactions. Okay, so to start, Now, this would not, just to show for instance, this is for an example, the account name here is different to the account that I'm using here, so that would be refused straight away, but let's just pretend that everything is the same, okay? So my account name would usually be in my organization name, okay? So for this, it's Joe Blogs Fishing Limited. My account nickname. Now, this is more for your own reference that, let's say, you can upload as many bank accounts as you want, but you would only use one bank account per grant application. But let's say you could have, let's say I have a different bank account in AIB, I could have one in Bank of Ireland, and I decide I want to. So this is just a way for me as a quick reference that I can show this is the name that I'm going to use, or I could have a current account or different things like that as well. So for here, I'm going to put in um, AI, AIB bank account. I'll just put in AIB bank, okay? And here I'm going to put in, let's say I'm going to put in AIB Bank in Thomastown. My account name, sorry, that's the bank name there, so I've got that wrong. So my account name is here, and my bank name then would be AIB. Yeah, okay. And then here I put in my BIC and my IBAN. Now, if I was to do this, this is just kind of test data here, and this probably won't go through, but I'll just put this in for now. So just to show, we want the BIC and the IBAN from your bank statement, okay? And then we also want you to upload a copy of your bank statement. So I could do this in two ways. I could browse my computer by just clicking that there, and it'll open up my files, and I'm just going to navigate around my computer here. So let's say I'll go into my test files, into my invoices, to my claims, and there's my bank account there. Or you could do it another way where you can literally open up the folder that you have here and you can literally drag and drop across. Okay. If I do that, it probably won't let me because it's already got the bank account there. So that's saving for me now. Okay. So you'll see once it's uploaded, it's going to show it there. Okay. So now I could also do, I don't know if this will work. It probably won't let me, but I can just kind of do that and copy. Um, okay, and it's kind of copied over because it's already there. Okay, so that's fine. So I've put in the name of my bank. I've put in a nickname for myself. Put in my account name. Now this is important. That all the details that are listed here must match what you have here. Okay, so for this one, I would be putting in Conway Fishing, my IBAN, my BIC. Okay, and so be something like that. Okay, so that it matches exactly what's on your bank statement. Now, usually what you would have is that when this example now is not right because I have my organization is a different organization here. So I'm going to go with the organization I have here. And let's just say that my organization name matched what I've shown you there in the bank statement. And I'll hit save here. That'll save all my details, but in order to fully send it in, I need to click the green submit button, which is just here. Now, you'll see here that it says this is not a valid IBAN number. Okay, so there's a checker here that actually checks to make sure that this is a valid IBAN number. Okay, so I've taken an example IBAN number here. I'm going to use this one. So it must be a valid IBAN in order for this to work. And the BIC I've taken from here as well. Should be something like that. Okay, now I think if I try this again, I think because there's spaces in between, it'll stop me. So I'll just say again, yeah, it says that's not a valid number. So it is a valid number. I just need to have no spaces. Okay. Okay, and no, that's saved. Now let me just make sure I submit and save complete. And you can see there that my bank account now has been submitted. This will be sent to the BIM Finance Department, and they will check that and verify it. If there's any issues, they'll come back to you. They might need a different bank statement. For this one, they would definitely come back because the bank statement does not match the account name, so that would fail. So just make sure that everything there is correct. You can edit by clicking edit here, but once you're happy, just click the X there to close. Okay, and now you will see, now I can add in my, I'm still not finished. So if I click on submit here, it's still telling me that I still don't have a bank. Even though I've set it up here, I haven't attached it to the form. So I need to click on the binoculars here and then select the bank from there and select add account detail. And you'll see here now that gets selected for me, okay? So, and I will say, and then you'll see here, see the bank nickname there is AIB Bank Thomastown. So that's for me, for my record. So if I had a few bank accounts here, I'd be able to see which one do I want to see. And you will see that there's no bank details listed there for you. So the nickname is important for you for your own reference. Okay, and now I'm happy. I will, sorry, I will click save just to show. So before you do everything, always hit save, and then I'll hit submit and say, are you sure you want to submit? I will say yes. Okay, and that's completed for me. So my application now is fully submitted. My bank details have been set up. And so that's fine. Now, if I was to return to my home page here and now scroll down, there's all the applications that I still have in draft. But if I go to submit it now, I can see there's my application there that has been fully submitted. There's my application ID, and that's been submitted to BIM. Now, so the BIM Finance Department will check the bank details for you, and the BIM grants team will be checking your application form. If there's any issues, they will send it back to you, and you will get a notification. Anything here revisions requested will pop in up in the bottom here for you. Okay, so also once you submit your application, you will receive an email quoting this reference number here and giving you details about the scheme that you've applied to as well. So okay, so I hope that was of help. If as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to send an email to grantshelpdesk@bim.ie, and that email will show for you just after this video as well. Thank you.